Decades ago, when you were a guitar player, it was super easy because you had your guitar, you had your amp, you maybe had a few pedals, but that was it. And if you wanted to record, you would go into a recording studio and record there. Times have changed. Everybody can record, everybody wants to record. Stage volumes have gone down drastically because we have huge PA systems now and we don't need Marshall stacks with two 4x12 speakers anymore, speaker cabs anymore. So players have been shifting to smaller, lower wattage amps to accommodate that shift. Enter amps like Kemper. And that was a revelation because you could have a completely silent stage. Sound guy would be happy and you would wear your in-ears and you would have the same sound as on the record. But there's a downside. It doesn't feel. It maybe sounds like a real amp, but it doesn't feel like a real amp. To me, at least. Please don't kill me in the comments. So there was still two groups of players, one that embraced that new technology and others that kept with their normal tube amps because they thought that sounded the best. But a lot of crossover devices have been coming out recently and they keep getting better and better and better. About 4 years ago, Milkman introduced the amp, which was about this big and it could power a cab, which not a lot of these devices, or I think none of these devices was able to do so before. So you could use it as an actual guitar amp. There was an XLR out, which you could run to front of house or to your interface and record with it. One downside though, the cab sim in the Milkman, the amp, was passive. It's kind of an EQ thing and it's not the best sounding cab sim out there. And about 6 months ago, Victory completely overhauled their V4 series, which is their pedal sized amp, like this big. And they included 2-notes cab sims. So you would have the 2-notes cab sim running out, the XLR out, while you could hook it up to a speaker cab and change the cab sims in your computer and everything. But then you're still limited to one amp, which is not bad, of course, but a modern guitar player needs several options, I think. So if you want to run a preamp pedal in just the power amp section or use it as a DI or whatever, those devices were not able to do that. But enter the Blackstar AMPED one. I think this is the most advanced amp in pedal thing yet. It sounds amazing. You have several preamps, several power amps. You have an effects loop. Well, we're going to go through the features right now. So this right here is a preamp section. You can switch between USA, UK and flat. So for instance, if you're running a preamp pedal, I use the Peace Hill effects pedals a lot. I would set it to flat and then the EQ at middle, and then it would just be a flat preamp response, and the preamp pedal would be doing the preampage. So that goes into, well, then there is an effects loop in between, which you can set to series or parallel in the software, and then you have response types for the power amp here. KD88, 6L6, EL34, 6V6, EL84, or linear. So if you set it to flat and linear, you could use like your Line 6 Helix in front of this and have this drive it to a guitar cabinet and not an FR speaker. Then there is reverb, gain and master, and well, the controls kind of speak for themselves. And if you're running this to a cab, you can attach an 8 ohm or a 16 ohm cab. It'll be 100 watts. And with this little switch here, you can switch it to 20 watts or even 1 watt, depending on the place you're playing guitar. Built-in reverb, I said that already. All right, let's just go through some tones and I'll explain the features along the way. Headphones. Headphones. Here we go. Camera rolling. Camera rolling. I recently did I don't remember what pedal it was, but I did a very lengthy demo of a pedal, and when I finished it, I found out that this camera here wasn't running, so I was pissed off, and now I'm constantly double checking. All right, here we go. So right now it's set to KT88 with the USA preamp, and that sounds like this. So let's go through the power amp responses. 606. EL34. 6V6. And EL84. All right, and now the preamp, it is set to USA KT88. It sounds so good. Going to UK, and then significantly hotter preamp, so you gotta roll back. It's not like you switch and then you have a different flavor. You gotta retweak the controls because it's a different amp. And then flat, I actually think this sounds really good. I heard it clipping. Back to USA. Through these headphones, it feels like I would be playing any other amp. I am very, very impressed. Yeah, I never thought I would say something like that about a product like this, because I'm quite a, well, maybe purist is not a word, but I'm traditional and I like an amp. So this feels very conflicting. But it is really good. So, as for pedals, it accepts pedals exceptionally well. For the intro, I used the Chase Bliss Automaton paired with the Thorpe Peacekeeper, and there was some moment where I kicked in the Kingtone Octaland. So yeah, let's just turn on these pedals. Here we go. Peacekeeper and Automaton preamp. Rolling back on the line out just a tad. and fuzz. As for playing, I think it has now proven to be something that sounds really, really good. And there are just too much options, so I can't show it all to you. But I want to show you the software and the connections on the side and the back. So on the side, let me turn this around like so. Is this in focus? Yes, it is. So here is a 1/4 inch output, which is a line out. Stereo line out and headphone jack. This is XLR mono. I would have loved to see 2 XLR outputs on this device so you could fully use it in stereo to something like front of house as well. Then we have the level right here, which I was tweaking all the time to not make the interface clip, and the cab rig. And this stores 3 presets of your favorite cabs. Then on the top, right, so on the top, I'll flip this around later in post. A super silent fan input, and then there is an effects loop, which I already said you could run this in series or parallel, and it is a single jack, and they include this cable, so you have 2 inputs. Now it is super awesome that they include this cable, but if you're running this on your pedal board, this cable is useless because it's not angled and it will be sticking out this much before you can actually make it bend. And I can't think of anybody who is willing to sacrifice this much pedal board real estate. So yeah, I would have loved to see this as an angled cable. MIDI in, you can control this with a MIDI switcher. Cable is also included, so you can hook up a standard 5-pin MIDI connector. 2 cab outs, you run 1 cab at the same time, not 2, because you will blow everything up. 8 ohms or 16 ohms, and then there are 2 9-volt outputs, so you can even power some other pedals with these. A total of 500 milliamps. I don't know if it is 500 milliamps per output or 500 milliamps in total, but you can power some pedals with it. And USB. USB-C. Finally something that has USB-C. Because we're all seeing like these super old, like it's just above the white serial thing with all the pins, which we used in the 1990s to hook up a printer. USB-C. Thank you, Blackstar. Fantastic. I'm really happy with that. That's it for controls. Now let me start up the software, plug the amped one back in, like so. All right, here we go. It's recording. So this is the software, and anything you do here with the pedals knobs, the virtual pedals knobs, will happen on the pedal as well. So if I grab the response button and when I select something else, you see it switching on the pedal as well, overriding the physical state of the controls. Now what I forgot to mention is that there is a preset switch right here. If you press and hold, you will save a preset. So no matter where the knobs are on the pedal amp, if you press the preset knob, it will override those controls as well. Then if you hold the reverb switch, it goes into this reverb drone thing, which is super cool to have. So back to the software. This is where you control the pedal, save different presets or patches there. And here is where things get interesting, because here you can select all the cabs and the mics and the mic position and the room size and whatnot. We're gonna go through this now. Here is a master EQ, which you can bypass if you want, but I like to keep it on. Here are all the cabinets, which is a lot of different cabinets which are included. Mics, ribbon mic, condenser mics, and dynamic mics. Now I would have loved to see the option to combine two different mic types, because I love the sound of a ribbon mic. I much prefer it over something like an SM57. But sometimes it gets too dark, and then you can add an SM57 to make it a little brighter. Now an SM57 on its own sounds like absolute shit. So combining different mics would be awesome if they can include it in future software updates. You can set the level for the mics, you can solo or mute them. Then there is room, and room is the most important thing to make it sound like a real amp. And the fact that they've included not alone the option to add room, but so many different room sizes, and the ability to blend it in and out here with the fader is just fantastic. And that is one of the things that makes it sound so good. So you have small room damped, medium room, large room, and you can also damp these. And then there is wide, stereo, or mono. And I prefer wide because that's the most like 3D sounding thing. But you gotta use it in stereo to do that, and with just the single XLR out, it doesn't work like that. So that's all mono. But if you're practicing through headphones or using the line out to your interface, you can use this cable as well, I think, with just jacks, then it would be stereo. And we're gonna get to USB a little later. And then there is, of course, here a master volume. Now you can save patches here. You can save them to the device or to the software, so you can switch patches later. But there are 3 patches you can save to the device itself. So this is what we've been using so far, which is an Alnico 1x12 with a 160 ribbon off-axis. Then the 2x10. And USA combo 2x12. So if you're not feeling very experimental and you want to do something easy, then there is this little dice here. And if you click that, it just selects something for you. 4x12 modern UK with a 421 dynamic. Now let's do something totally else. Come on, roll me something else. All right, 1x12 modern USA combo with a 57. My favorite mic. Let's go back to, let's do the 210. Then there is this wheel here, opens the settings. And something that is very important is pretty hidden away, because here you can select your reverb type, reverb tone, and reverb time. So the knob here on the Amped one itself just, I think, controls the mix. And here you can do some more deep dive settings. So brighter reverb, longer reverb. It's gorgeous. Room reverb. Or spring. So those are the reverb types, and then you say save to amp settings, and then it's saved. Now USB, when you hook it up to your computer with USB, when I did that just now, Logic says, oh, I detected a new interface, so you want to use it. So you can use it as an interface as well. You don't even need an interface. And over USB, it transmits, I think, 4 channels. Channel 1 and 2 being left and right. So then you have the ability to record the room stuff and the ambience in ambience. Is it ambience or ambience? Down in the comments, please. Now, channel 3 is the signal taken, I think, right after the preamp. So it doesn't include the cap sim or the power amp. You can use that with your own cap sim and power amp plugins. And channel number 4 is the signal taken at the input. So that's just your guitar and none of the controls, none of the stuff on the amp one is there. So it just works as a DI. So yeah, it's an insane amount of options, but they've managed to pack it in something that's really user-friendly. And it sounds amazing. So I think you'll be seeing a lot more of this amp one on my channel. And I'll be using this as a practice rig or just to record something real quick. It's so versatile and such a handy tool. I really love it. All right, let me know what you think down below in the comments. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you want to score some of my gem tracks and tabs for licks you can steal, you can find those on my Patreon page or become a YouTube member by clicking the join button down below. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.